All right. Three, two, one. Hey there, Marvel fans. Comic-Con news. Kind of.
Shit.
Did we what?
Nothing. Just count it down again.
Nah, go ahead and ask.
No, I was going to read the next line, but I cut you off because I didn't realize how long you were pausing. I stepped on you.
3, 2, 1. Hey there, Marvel fans. Comic-Con news. Kind of.
Did we cry after reading the last issue of Secret Warriors?
No. Hawkeye is old.
All this and more on this week's episode of the 6 Months Behind podcast.
All right.
Who are we this week?
Oh, I don't know. That's a good question that I did not consider. Surprise me.
Sure.
All right. Three, two, one.
What is up? This is the 6 Month Behind podcast, the week of 7/16/18. I am Pat.
And I am Sean.
And this week, we're Old Man Deadpool and Old Man somebody. Hawkeye. That's who it is. Hawkeye. Shit. Started over.
Yeah.
Old Man Cable was last week, which is who I almost said.
All right. 3, 2, 1.
What is up? This is the 6 Month Behind podcast for week of 7/16/18. I am Pat.
And I am Sean.
And this week, we are Old Man Deadpool and Old Man Hawkeye because it's cool to make all the Marvel heroes old for some reason. So there you go.
Everybody's old. Being old is cool. Even Harley Quinn's getting in on the old action, apparently.
Ah, there you go, man. Did that happen at Comic-Con this week?
It got announced before, but they're doing a spoof sort of Harley Quinn is old thing. Old like that.
Ah, okay.
We got more detail on this week.
Ah. Okay. Well, everybody else is old, so she may as well be too.
Right. Speaking of Comic-Con, there was some news that came out of Comic-Con. Not a lot of Marvel news. Marvel Publishing was there, and they held some panels and stuff, but no majors out of the Marvel Studios. They didn't even go to the show. So
they had a grief counseling center for people who were traumatized by Infinity War, where you could go in and discuss the movie and discuss which scenes and which death traumatized you most. Seriously.
Yeah, I think that's but okay. Whatever.
I understand.
Yeah. Get at Comic-Con. They announced a bunch of stuff, but some of the stuff that made it across my news feed was the first look at Marvel Rising, which is their new animated show. It's like all the young superheroes. It's Miss Marvel and Spider-Gwen and Patriot and Squirrel Girl and a handful of others. America Chavez. That looks really good, actually. And there's a bunch of
All the people they canceled, in other words?
What?
All the books they canceled, in other words?
No. This is a cartoon series.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
From all the books they canceled.
Spider-Gwen hasn't been canceled.
Gwenpool has. America Chavez has.
Well, Gwenpool's not in it.
Ah, okay. I thought you said Gwenpool.
No, Gwen Stacy. Squirrel Girl hasn't been canceled. Patriot has never gotten his own book. Miss Marvel hasn't been canceled.
America Chavez has.
Yeah, well, we'll talk about that in a minute. A few other things. We got a trailer for Aquaman, which actually looks really good. We got a Shazam trailer, which looks also really good. Have you seen either of those?
No.
The Shazam trailer looks like it's going to be a hoot.
I hope so. Did you watch you probably didn't because you never watch anything I sent you. Did you watch the Conan O'Brien hero parody I sent you?
I try not to watch anything Conan O'Brien's in.
It was pretty funny. It's got Batman in a cafeteria, and he's wanting to leave the DC universe and join the Marvel universe because it's more fun, and the DC universe is so dark and brooding. And you got all the Marvel heroes sitting around one table and all the DC heroes sitting around another table.
That's funny.
It was funny.
For real though, when did you send it to me?
Thursday or Friday.
Oh, I don't know if I ever got it.
It's pretty funny, man.
Okay.
I'm probably gonna put it on the website. It's pretty funny.
Huh. Actually, here's the thing about both Aquaman and Shazam. Both of them look less dark and brooding than the other stuff has been. And I think they took a cue from both Wonder Woman and not Avengers, there's Justice League, that they need to lighten up a little bit.
You would hope so.
Yeah. Because while the Aquaman movie looks, serious, you can tell from the trailer there's definitely going to be a little humor in it for sure.
Right.
Speaking of Aquaman, Kelly Sue DeConnick, who used to write Captain Marvel and a bunch of other stuff over at Marvel, is actually taking over the Aquaman comic book. G. Willow Wilson, who does Miss Marvel, is taking over Wonder Woman.
Is that an exclusive, or is she staying with Miss Marvel?
I don't know. I hope that means she's doing both, but I don't know. I didn't see the details. I just saw it on Twitter over the weekend. Clone Wars is back. So if you enjoyed the Clone Wars cartoon series, they're going to do a final season. They announced that.
That's cool.
Yeah. And of course, the Eisner Awards also happened. I'm not going to go through all of the Eisner winners because there's a ton of categories, but a few highlights. Who won Best Continuing Series as well as Best Writer. She tied for Best Writer with Tom King for Batman. Mike Mignola won Best Single Issue for Hellboy. Won Best New Series for Black Bolt. It's been canceled. Best Limited Series, Black Panther World of Wakanda by Roxane Gay, Ta-Nehisi Coates, also canceled. Let's see. Interesting. Mitch Gerads got Best Penciler and Inker for Mr. Miracle, which apparently is really good. I haven't been reading Mr. Miracle, but it's apparently very good. Anyway, and Dave Gibbons was inducted into the Hall of Fame. So yeah, it was an eventful Comic-Con.
There you go.
Yeah. Not to mention the biggest PR news from out of Marvel at Comic-Con, not really at Comic-Con, was the whole James Gunn thing, but Yeah. We won't get into that. Anyway, if you want to share with us what you thought of Comic-Con, you can email us at 6monthsbehind@gmail.com. That's the number 6monthsbehind@gmail.com.
You can visit the website at www.6monthsbehind.com.
And just to let you know, we do discuss spoilers on the show. If you have not read all the comic books that came out this week, which it's possible you didn't because there's quite a few of them, pause here, come back later. We'll still be here and you won't get spoiled. Or you can continue now without spoilers.
73, including all of the issues of Man-Thing and Master of Kung Fu. And for the love of God, how many issues of Master of Kung Fu is there?
That's what I'm starting to wonder. They've been dumping those Master of Kung Fu books every week for at least a month now and have dumped some in the past. And it's like, dude, I didn't realize that series went on that long.
I didn't either, but it did. Holy cow. Anywho,
getting into our books this week, starting with X-Men. We have X-Men Gold Annual number 1. Pat, did you ever read Excalibur?
I did, yes.
How did you? I never read Excalibur. What did you feel about Excalibur?
It was never one of my favorites. It was when comics were relatively cheap, so I could afford to buy a bad X-Men comic book, which is what Excalibur was. And, it was all right. I mean, it was Captain Britain and whatever Megan's superhero name is, Supermom at this point.
Yeah, she's Supermom. This issue.
Kitty Pryde and Nightcrawler and Rachel Summers, Rachel Gray.
Yeah, she's Rachel Gray now, but she would have been Rachel time.
It was all right. I mean, it was never the best X book, but never.
Yeah, well, the tradition continues as an X-Men Gold Annual number 1. We get here on the first page, we get a little blurb about some alien race that was decimated by the Phoenix. Anyway, a stork literally delivers a message to Kitty Pryde about Captain Britain and the Brian and some Megan. Yeah, Brian and Megan is their names. Captain Britain and some other lady. If you read Excalibur, you'd know who these people were. They had a baby. Yeah. Yeah, they had a baby, and everyone's invited to come to Britain to visit the baby. So you literally put all of the X-Men on a on a commercial flight to Britain. So it's just this whole plane full of X-Men and crazy looking people. And they get to the lighthouse, which is the old Excalibur base. And, it's a happy reunion. Everyone's happy to see one another. Except this baby, who looks like a normal baby, is obviously a mutant and is a high-functioning, speaking, well-articulated child.
At the age of what, 3 months?
3 months, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little weird, but it's the X-Men, so you expect weird. Yeah, I thought it was entertaining. The baby and Kurt get into a debate about the nature of good and evil, and then decide to watch The Wizard of Oz. Megan's having some issues because she feels like because the baby's so intelligent, she's not going to have a job as a mom. It's at that point, the alien that we discussed on the first page attacks the lighthouse, and the X-Men jump into action and have to do their thing.
And the baby's the only one smart enough to figure out how to defeat the villain.
Yeah. Something about shifting time or shifting universes or something. I don't know. Anyway, when the battle's over, Brian and Megan say, hey, the reason we really wanted you to come here is Kitty and Rachel and Kurt, we want you to be the baby's godparents, and it's a nice little happy ending. Then you get this backup story about a little girl who wants to meet Storm and runs around New York all day trying to meet Storm.
I enjoyed the backup story a lot more than I enjoyed the majority of the issue.
It was a little goofy and silly, but if you're gonna do annuals, and you know how I feel about annuals, I hate annuals. I don't see any point in doing them in this modern age. Make it something lighthearted and a little goofy like this.
Yeah, I totally agree. Next, we have X-Men Blue number, who cares, 19. The X-Men are still, the series is called Time Capers for some reason. I don't know where they came up with caper, but okay, sure, whatever. And the young X-Men team has now traveled in the past to what they think is their time. And it's one of the classic Magneto fights, except the X-Men of their era have killed all the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants. Professor Xavier walks up, not strolls up in a wheelchair or rides up in a wheelchair, but walks up and announces his intention to kill Magneto by dropping a nuclear bomb on him. At this point, the X-Men of this dimension, reality, whichever, return to the X-Mansion, where we find that the original Charles Xavier has been imprisoned. Jean Grey and Magneto somehow combine their powers to create a psychic shield to save everyone. The most interesting thing here about this book isn't what's going on, because eventually they go to the X-Mansion and confront the X-Men that are there. There's a brief skirmish, and it turns out I can't remember who these people are. I don't remember if they're the X-Men of 2099 or if they're X-Men that we saw back during Battle of the Atom. I think it's that group we saw back during Battle of the Atom. It's Ice Sting, Old Man Deadpool, Zorn, Charles Xavier II, Bruiser, Raze, and Dark Beast. I think I don't think it's the ones from 2099. I think it's them. What they've done is they've gone back in time and taken the original X-Men's place, and they're screwing up all the anomalies, or creating all the anomalies by screwing up the timeline.
Okay, I'm glad you understood what was happening in this issue, because I was thoroughly confused.
The art was good. I really liked the color work in this. The colors really pop on it. The interesting thing here is they're continuing this storyline of is Magneto a hero or a villain? Continuing the question of, can he ever truly repent and be a true hero? And is this X-Men team doing the right thing and being aligned with him? And I can tell you that's going to be an ongoing storyline in the future. And that was probably the best part of the issue, which isn't saying much because there wasn't very much good in this issue.
Yeah, I mean, I got real confused about who was what and what was going on and who was who and why to the whole thing. And this anytime you start jumping through timelines, it gets a little weird. But I got halfway through the issue and I was like, I don't understand what's happening in this issue.
Yeah. I mean, I was able to keep track of this thing, and I didn't care.
Yeah, and maybe that was it too, is I just didn't care because this has been the lackluster X-Men book that's been out in the last few months.
Yeah, it's just not good, man. It's just not good.
And the thing is, it started out really strong.
Yeah.
19 issues ago, this was great.
Dude, absolutely.
You had the young X-Men running around as, under the tutelage of Magneto, but it's gotten far away from that.
Right.
Thankfully, what was really good was Phoenix Resurrection number 3. Almost said Phoenix Erection, and that'd have been weird. Which also looks really good. You got Matt Rosenberg doing the writing here, Joe Bennett on pencils, Lorenzo Ruggiero is doing the ink, and Rochelle Rosenberg doing the color. Rochelle Rosenberg, man, she's getting work at Marvel. I like this cover too.
Dude, the cover's good.
So we begin the issue with Jean having we'll call it a flashback to crashing the shuttle. If you don't know what that means, go read the Phoenix Saga.
Issue 101.
Yeah, X-Men 101. You might as well just start at 97. It doesn't happen there, but you might as well start at either 97 or 100. She imagines she's drowning after crashing the shuttle. She comes to in a grocery store where it looks like she's slipped and fallen. And if you haven't been keeping up with this, Jean Grey has apparently been alive this whole time, living in some tiny rural town in the middle of nowhere and not knowing who she is.
Okay.
I think that's what's happening. I don't know. Meanwhile, the Phoenix is acting up. This story goes back and forth between the X-Men team and Jean Grey, who just is basically having hallucinations. Meanwhile, the X-Men team goes to the cemetery to check on Jean Grey's body, which is obviously not in its coffin.
I need to sit and read all 5 issues of this again so I can understand it next week.
Jean goes to get her car fixed from Logan, who's Patch or something. I didn't really understand the point of that. The X-Men need a psychic for Cerebro, so they go to Emma Frost, who tells them where to find Jean Grey, who's being stalked by the Phoenix, and also her persona as the Dark Phoenix. And then the X-Men go to some middle of nowhere place in Arizona.
It's the plateau where they had the psychic bond.
Okay. There's nothing there, so whatever.
That's the point.
Yeah. Slow moving, probably could have covered a lot more ground in this issue if they had chosen to, but it was good nonetheless.
Yeah, it's all right. It's good. I enjoy it. I just want to go back and read the whole thing again so I can remember what's going on here.
This is another one of those instances where all of this probably is better after you read it all together in one go.
Yeah.
Rather than issue to issue.
Yes, it will be. Next up, we have Old Man Logan 33, continuing the Scarlet Samurai saga. So this opens, Mike Deodato is doing the art on this. And it opens with him retelling a few pages from 177 of Uncanny, I think, where Logan is seeing Mariko and giving her chrysanthemum. And then we cut to present day where Mariko has been resurrected by the Hand and is attempting to kill him. Then Logan and the Doctor get away, pursued by a lot of hands. Hand. Yes, it would be hand, singular, not hand. Yes.
Yeah. Agents of the Hand.
Singular, yes. Agents of the Hand. Thank you very much. Gorgon's irritated that Silver Samurai let Wolverine get away, and he's kind of questioning her motives. A wounded Logan is met by the Silver Samurai, whose real name I can't remember. They hatch a plot to go back and save everything because, Regenix is what it is. Shingen, thank you. Because, they can't let the Regenix formula fall into everyone's hands. Great Deodato art in this, man. Really, really is. I've been hitting the head too many times.
What?
Nothing. I had a thought and it died. Oh, I know what it is. When Logan's right hand resurrected without the adamantium and it's just bone, is he ever going to get the adamantium back on it again?
I imagine not.
Okay.
Because that's part of the theme with Old Man Logan is he's slowly losing his ability to heal. Things are just not working like they used to. And part of that is, in an instance like that where he loses his whole hand, he'll lose the adamantium.
Yeah. I mean, I'm assuming, and I've always wondered how, stuff grows back with the adamantium on it. And apparently somebody finally decided to write it properly and say, oh, it doesn't. Okay.
Well, I think that's because he's older now and his powers are starting to fail.
Yeah.
I think that's what that is. Anyway, it was really good.
I was trying to think of how the adamantium regrew when his powers are younger, but okay, sure, whatever. It's a comic book. I'll roll with it.
Right. Yeah. That's kind of where I'm with it.
Yeah.
Speaking of rolling with it, I would like to roll this issue of Cable 153 right into the garbage can.
I enjoyed this.
Okay. Cable's still trying to help the people who did the stuff. I don't know who these people are or why any of us care.
They're the Eternals.
That's it. The Eternals. Yeah.
He's trying to save the good Eternals and kill the bad Eternals.
Yeah. And at one point, some of the Eternals turn on the other Eternals and team up with Cable to kill the bad Eternals.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like Ed Brisson as a writer, but this is garbage.
No, yeah. Yeah. Well, it's not garbage. It's not great. You have to be a fan of these characters. I mean, you have to be a fan of Longshot and Shatterstar and Gideon and Cable and
the New Mutants.
X-23. I mean, it's the
original X-Force.
It's a Rob Liefeld X-Force throwback. And if you're not a fan of those characters, you're probably not going to enjoy this book.
Yeah, I did not.
Yeah.
The only thing that was good in this was Dupe.
I'm becoming a fan of Dupe.
Me too, dude. I like Dupe.
He's growing on me, man. He's growing on me.
It's funny because he really just started as like a background character that you would just see in panels of X-Men. And he was basically like Slimer from Ghostbusters, but he's turned into his own thing. And I like it.
They've done a good job of developing him in this Cable series.
That's the one gleaming aspect of this Cable series, if you ask me.
Yeah. Something that doesn't have a gleaming aspect is this Spider-Man Deadpool 26. Now, in the book we were discussing earlier, X-Men Blue, you had Old Man Cable. Here in this Spider-Man Deadpool book, you have Old Man Peter Parker. And you get an Old Man Spider-Man, and you get an Old Man Cable. An Old Man Cable who's dancing around in his underwear, having sex with a lot of old people. Okay? Which just,
What?
I said it. I said it out loud. Yes. Okay. And what Deadpool does is set up a robbery for Peter Parker to see. So Peter Parker, as Spider-Man in his wheelchair, can go catch the burglar, and then Deadpool can convince him that they need to go catch the person that cut Peter Parker in half and ended his Spider-Man career apparently decades ago, which was Deadpool.
Okay.
Yes. So you have Old Man Cable with Old Man Peter Parker and Spider-Man in the wheelchair going to chase Deadpool. If that sounds like a convoluted mess, it's a convoluted mess, man.
Yeah, it also doesn't sound interesting or entertaining at all.
I mean, when you see Spider-Man going up a wall in a wheelchair and Deadpool hanging on, that summarizes the stupidity and the extent of this comic.
Dude, what happened to this book, man? The first 10 issues were not bad.
The first 10 or 12 issues were great. And it's selling well. I mean, I saw an issue the other day on the Standard store, and it's Marvel's just going to keep riding it for the money, man.
Yeah. And obviously it's not going anywhere anytime soon.
No. They put it out twice a month, and, sell 75,000 copies every time it comes out, and take the check to the bank.
Good on them, then, I guess.
I ain't
buying it. No, I ain't buying it. Heck no.
I would be hard pressed to spend money on X-Men Blue. I'm surely not spending money on that.
Yeah, not at all.
Yeah.
What wasn't half bad was Venom number 160. So this is part 5 of this Venom Inc. story, and it wraps up in the next issue. So there's that. I haven't minded this story, but it's deviated Amazing Spider-Man away from the ongoing story that was happening in that book, and I hate it when they do stuff like that.
Yes.
When they're just like, oh, we're in like part 2 of a 6-part story here in this comic book, and we're just going to break away and do something else for 2 months.
Yeah.
You could have told this whole thing in Venom and never skipped a beat.
I totally agree.
Yeah. Anyway, so after last issue, Black Cat, Flash Thompson is Venom, and Eddie Brock is Venom, as well as Mania, are making their last stand against the 5 families and Lee Price, who have been taken over by these symbiotes. Spider-Man's their guy on the inside because he's parading around as still under the influence of the Venom symbiote when he's really not. They all figure it out. A big fight breaks out. He saves Hammerhead from the Venom thing, and he's like, hey, look, I know I've put you in jail like 19 times, but can you just, like, this one time, can we just, for the greater good, can we just, oh no, you're gonna hit me? Okay, well, never mind. Yeah, so Hammerhead, you know, given the chance to take out Spider-Man, is going to take out Spider-Man despite everything else. And then it's, you know, it's a big fight like you'd expect. With maybe the good guys coming out at the end, or maybe not. Because what happens is they start using these anti-venom bullets against all the guys, which frees them from the influence of the Venom symbiote, their theory that Lee Price is using to mind control them. But removing that venom from them, the venom goes back to Lee Price, and it only makes him stronger. So now it's going to be the big throwdown with Lee Price. So yeah, that happens in Venom Inc. Omega, I think next week.
I like what they've done with the character of Lee Price.
I did too, because he wasn't Venom for more than like 6 issues, but I really enjoyed his Venom. It kind of reminded me of The Darkness, if you've ever read that comic book or played the video game, which was also really good.
No.
That's what he reminded me of, and I wanted more of that. But yeah, I like him. He's a good villain.
Yep. Next, we have our only Inhuman book of the week, which is Secret Warriors number 12.
Was this the last issue?
This is the last issue. Have you been reading this book or this series?
No, I'm like 7 issues behind.
So all the Inhumans, the Secret Warriors, had a falling out because Daisy, back during Secret Empire, Daisy tortured some people, and Karnak did some things that the worldly superior Miss Marvel doesn't approve of. So they've been arguing ever since. So the issue opens with Daisy Johnson tentatively ringing the doorbell of Lunella's apartment. And Lunella thinks she's a babysitter, which she kind of is, but she also invited her over for her birthday. So she's got a birthday present. And then the rest of the Secret Warriors start showing up. And of course, it doesn't take them long to start arguing. And Alana teleports into the kitchen and starts eating a cake before she's supposed to. Then they get mad when Karnak shows up. And finally, Lunella's just like, look, it's my birthday. We're going to play. It's called Secret War. It's Risk, okay? But it's called Secret Wars on the game. It's pretty cool. And all the countries that you would normally have in Risk are countries from Secret War. They're the Battle World countries from Secret War. So it's pretty entertaining. So she finally gets them all to shut up and sit down and start playing Risk. And of course, it doesn't take long to degenerate into an argument. And Lunella just climbs up on top of the table and says, look, we're going to get along. Okay. It's my birthday. Nobody really knows if it's her birthday or not. You kind of think she's pulling one, but then at the end, you kind of think, well, maybe she isn't pulling one. You're not really sure.
Yeah.
So over the next few pages, they all kind of work out their issues. And then they begin eliminating each other one by one with strategy. The first thing that happens is Lana gets mad and leaves. And then Karnak decides, he's going to use his. He's like, why are we going to play the game? Because my superior strategy is going to win, and the point is world domination. So, I'm obviously going to win this. And everybody's like, okay. And 15 brutal minutes later, Karnak is defeated because everybody teamed up on Karnak. So then Karnak leaves. Then 10 minutes later, Miss Marvel and Daisy are throwing down, trying to adjust their issues. Miss Marvel leaves. She leaves. Loses. She leaves. Daisy goes, and they kiss and make up. Then Lunella finally wins. I think Lunella finally wins. Then Karnak shows up with whatever Karnak's kid is, and Devil Dinosaur, and everybody lives happily ever after.
Oh, okay.
It wasn't bad. It was a good single issue. It tied, or a good last issue. It tied up all the dangling storylines that you didn't want to leave out there when you cancel a book, which is what they're doing with Gwenpool and this Secret Warriors book.
Well, it sounded like it was I don't know. I don't know. I guess there's worse final issues out there.
It was funny. It was entertaining, and it did a good job of wrapping up all the plot lines. So it could have been worse.
Okay. And the only Avengers comic we had this week is Avengers No Surrender number 675.
Which is going to be the only Avengers comic you get.
Yeah. Written by Mark Waid, Al Ewing, and Jim Zub. I don't know how all three of them are writing it, but they are.
They literally canceled every Avengers book, but I believe the Champions, and replaced it with this weekly book. So to get the book out weekly, they're having to, I think all the guys sat down and wrote out the plot, and then each week they take turns writing the script.
Okay. Well, that makes sense. I didn't realize it was weekly.
Dude, it's weekly for the next 16 weeks. So maybe 18 or 19 weeks.
Oh, dang. So the world is ending, or it seems like it. The sun has gone dark, and there's earthquakes and hurricanes, and satellites are falling out of the sky, and the Alpha Flight Station literally disappears.
No. Earth disappeared. The Alpha Flight Station didn't. Earth didn't. Or Earth did.
Okay.
Which, by the way, didn't that just happen in the last storyline with the Avengers Champions crossover?
Yes.
Okay, just wanted to confirm that.
Yeah, the Earth keeps disappearing. I don't know why. But apparently it disappeared to somewhere, and chaos has ensued all over the globe. Every Avenger who has ever been an Avenger has been activated. Jarvis gets seriously injured. And for some reason, all of a sudden, a bunch of the Avengers just turn to stone or something. So they all meet outside Avengers Mansion, and they don't know what to do, but a lady in yellow shows up, and they apparently all know who they are.
That's Voyager.
Who?
Voyager.
Who?
If you go back to the beginning of Marvel Legacy, in the Marvel Legacy one-shot, you remember she's now a person on the statue of the founding Avenger statue.
Yeah, no, I remember that. And what they're doing is inserting a new character while also saying she's been there the whole time, which is stupid. It's what they did with the Sentry. Dude.
It's really not. I mean, it's without explaining what everything that's happening here over the next 16 issues. Let me just tell you to roll with it. How about that? Okay, roll with it. This is a good ride, and heaven knows I'm not afraid to hate on things when they deserve to be hated on. And this is a 16 issue story arc over the next 4 months. It has its ups and downs, but overall, it's pretty good.
Is it? Okay. I mean, I'll give it a chance. I hate this gimmick of the superhero that you all forgot about, who was a hero the whole time, but really we just made her up the other day. Like that premise rubs me the wrong way.
That's what they did, but it's a plot device.
Yeah, no, I understand. And if it's good, then I'll get over it. But
it's good. It's good.
It's not a plot device that I like seeing used.
I understand. I'm with you. I was hesitant at first too, but once I realized who she really is and what she's really doing there, like, oh, this is interesting.
Okay, well, I'll give it a shot.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and I really can't explain it without spoiling the whole thing, which I can because we warn people about spoilers. So if you really want to know, I'll tell you. But
no, well, let's save it. We'll see what happens.
Okay. All right. Next, we have Black Panther: Long Live the King, #3. Besides the fact that Black Panther is selling very well and the movie made several $billion, is there a reason we're getting bad Black Panther books?
I didn't think this was bad. I didn't think it was great, but it's not bad. I also don't know where issue 2 went.
The art is...
I enjoyed the art.
I didn't enjoy the art.
Okay. Well,
I think it's...
You only like one style of art, and if it's not that...
No, not really. It's... We're going to do a thing with Steve Ditko soon on our What's Next podcast. And one of the reasons, because I'm going to tell you the truth, I don't get Steve Ditko and Jack Kirby because they're from a different era. And they're icons that the people who are now doing our industry, that are now making the comics in our industry, all just worship. And I didn't get it. And I watched some of that, looking for Steve Ditko, that BBC documentary, and I watched I read some about Ditko, and of course I've read and watched a lot about Jack Kirby. And what they did was you would not only have the characters in the image, but everything behind the character in the panel would be extremely detailed and would look extremely good. And it wasn't just T'Challa there. It was everything behind T'Challa. It was the trees and the buildings and there was detail and emotion in everything, not just a person's face with a blue background behind it. Okay, which makes it look like something from a Saturday morning cartoon. So it's not that I don't like the art style. The art style is actually kind of photorealistic, which is something I enjoy. It's that it lacks a detail that I have come to enjoy from Steve Ditko, Jack Kirby, Alex Ross, Deodato, many other people who may not even have that style, but they've got that detail that's missing in this issue, if that makes sense.
Yeah, okay. That's a fair criticism of the art style, I'll say.
Yeah, and that's why I didn't enjoy it, because it's just, in so many panels, it's either T'Challa and the elephant, or it's T'Challa in the background, and there's no detail there. And I understand that artists have to grow and develop, and that's one of the reasons you get five-page backup stories in X-Men Gold. That's one of the reasons you get X-Men Gold, is you're developing new writers. You're developing next Max Bemis, so he can do something horrible like that X-Men book and then turn around and do Moon Knight. Okay. Yeah. It's that's where these people get developed. I'm just saying I didn't enjoy it. Anywho, so T'Challa and one of his childhood friends is what we open with. He's chasing the White Gorilla Tribe. He gets to where the White Gorilla Tribe is at. He's attacked by a bunch of artificial adamantium animals, which turns out are being controlled by his childhood friend. Here's the real problem I had with this book. Here's the real reason I didn't enjoy it, is this guy has spent years plotting his revenge against T'Challa since he was a small child, abandoned by the king, abandoned by the people of Wakanda. And T'Challa's like, hey, I got to bring in the White Gorilla Tribe. You need to help me. Okay, sure.
Yeah. I had a problem with that too.
So it was like 20 years of this guy plotting his revenge for him to say, well, okay, sure, I'll help you.
Well, if you're going to twist my arm about it.
Yeah, it was just, I was just like, man, really? What?
Yeah, like you're just going to give in that easy?
Yeah, and that's as I said, it wasn't great.
I'm more intrigued about who this person is than what their history is, but or where it's going. But we'll see. Also, did we miss the second issue of this?
I don't even know.
Because I know I read the first issue.
It's on Unlimited.
Is it? I must have missed it somewhere.
Came out 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I feel like, I don't know. I feel like it, maybe I missed it. I don't know, but
sure.
It picked up in a place that I do not remember it being. Anyway, Daredevil 597. Matt Murdock has taken the reins as deputy mayor for Wilson Fisk. Yes, that Wilson Fisk. And Matt's whole strategy here is that from inside the mayor's office, he can spy on Wilson Fisk and hopefully keep him in check via Daredevil. Now, after the ceremony of swearing him in, he goes to his office to get into some briefing papers when Foggy pays him a visit. And Foggy is like, dude, what are you doing? I know you think you can make a difference here by doing this, but I don't think you can. I'm not sure that this is really going to work out for you. Plus, being Daredevil is dangerous for you these days, which we find out later as he goes out on patrol as Daredevil and gets set up in a robbery sort of situation. He jumps in and stops a couple guys from robbing a store, and apparently the guy who owned the store used the robbers as a setup for Daredevil to get the reward money. So, yeah, that's fun.
Well, part of his plan is he's going to use his hearing to hear everything that's going on in the building.
Mm-hmm.
Kingpin's trying to bury him in paperwork. They're both playing a strategy. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah. And then he gets saved at the last minute by, what's this guy's name? Frank McGee. That's right.
Frank McGee.
Yeah,
That's
he's the head of security for New Attilan, which is the Inhuman city that's out in the bay there. When he says, "Hey, by the way, you know that guy Muse that you towed off with a few months ago?" And
yeah, the one I promised would be locked up below New Attilan and would never escape.
Yeah, it turns out he escaped, and he's probably after you. Which is when we see that the City Hall building has a picture of Daredevil drawn onto the whole side of the building, doing the Richard Nixon "I'm not a crook" thing.
Right.
So yeah, Muse is back in the picture. Wilson Fisk is mayor. It's a good time, man.
This is a good run on this book. Is Charles Soule writing that?
Yeah, he's still writing it.
Yeah, that's a good series, man. I've been looking forward to it. Now that it's here, I'm still enjoying it. It's good.
Oh, dude, I think Charles Soule's run on Daredevil, this run that we're reading right now will be one of those that 10 and 20 years from now we'll look at as one of the defining Daredevil stories.
And the art was really good too. I'm not looking at the art. I'm already looking at Deadpool, which I'm fixing to do next. And I forget who was doing the art, but it's very Frank Miller-esque in some of the pages and some of the panels as to how it portrays Daredevil.
Yeah.
And I really, really enjoyed that art.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And I could see them doing this storyline in the Netflix show.
Yeah.
The Wilson Fisk as mayor thing.
One of the things they did announce at Comic-Con is Iron Fist is coming out at the end of August, and something else is coming out this fall.
Punisher, probably.
Punisher, Iron Fist, Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage. I think the next Punisher. Yeah, I think the next Punisher is coming out this fall.
That's great and all, but we've had 2 years between seasons of Daredevil, and I'm ready for a season of Daredevil.
Maybe it was Daredevil they announced. I'd have to go back because it was like it may have been the day before Marvel held an event and they announced it, and maybe it's Daredevil. Anyway, I was surprised. I don't know if this is coming so soon. I didn't realize it was already produced. I mean, I knew it was in production. I just didn't realize it was this far along. It's coming at the end of August, and then something else is coming in September, October.
Probably Punisher. They've been filming.
Yeah, maybe so. Anywho, Despicable Deadpool number 292. This opens with a funny scene, which is Deadpool is contacting Strife, who looks like Cable, which just gets confusing. And he's in an Apple store, and he has done something that everyone who's ever talked to a genius, okay, maybe I won't speak for everyone, I'll just speak for myself, wants to do, which is he's knocked all the geniuses unconscious and then left the civilian standing, which I don't know how many times I've gone into an Apple store and wanted to beat up all the little t-shirt wearing. Yeah. Yeah. Why? So Deadpool did it for us.
Why would you do that?
Because they're arrogant and slow and non-caring. Mainly arrogant and slow. I think some of them actually do care, but there's usually a line of 73 people, even since my Apple store moved into a bigger building with more geniuses. And even if you have an appointment, you wind up waiting forever.
Okay. I haven't been to an Apple store in a while, so I don't know.
Yeah. And they talk to you like you're an imbecile because you don't know what they're explaining to you. Like you should know how iOS operates. You should know how to fix it yourself. And why are you wasting my time?
To be fair, they probably do deal with a fair amount of morons who just don't know how to use their phone.
They're getting paid for it.
Not much.
So don't treat me like I'm a moron or go do something else. I don't care.
I don't know. As someone who deals with a lot of morons at work and who deals with the public, I understand treating morons like morons.
I do too. And we get paid not to.
Not enough.
Then don't do it. You're getting paid to treat your customers with a certain level of respect.
Right.
And when you don't, you're not doing your job.
No, I don't disagree with you. I'm just saying that they're getting paid just barely above minimum wage, and I probably wouldn't be terribly polite if I had to teach somebody how to unlock their phone one more time either.
Well, they should all go on strike. Because God knows Apple has enough billions of dollars in savings to give them a raise or profit sharing.
You ever heard about what it's like to work in one of their retail stores?
Not really, no.
Yeah, apparently it is not a good time. There's a reason when you walk into that Apple store, you never see the same face twice.
That doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, me either. And you're right. They should go on strike.
They should just, start a GroupMe page and all of them text each other and all of them walk out on the same day and say, we're not doing this anymore.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Because Apple's got enough money to pay them and hire some decent talent.
That's the thing is, the Apple stores used to be like one of the crown jewels of the Apple company. And in the last 5 years or so, that experience has tanked.
Dude.
People hate going to the Apple store now, as you just described.
Yeah.
And part of it is because the employees don't care because the conditions that they work in are awful. There's not enough of them. None of them are getting paid enough. They're not making commission on those sales.
Here's the thing. You can look proportionally at either how long people have to wait in line to get served or how many people each person is serving per hour, and realize your store's not big enough, you don't have enough people, and you're not keeping up with supply and demand. And what's happened in the last 10 years is the popularity of Apple products, specifically the iPhone and the iPad, have escalated to the point where the Apple stores don't have the infrastructure, the people, the technology to keep up with the demand of the people waiting in line. This is easily fixed by simply getting more people. You probably have to open more than one store in a city. It's an amazing concept, okay? You have to open more than one store in a city and actually get people in there to service them when they come, and then everyone doesn't leave mad.
Yeah, dude, it's not a hard fix, but Apple doesn't want to do it. And consider that those employees are their pay has not changed, but their workload has increased exponentially. Nah, I kind of get why they're a little grumpy with you when you walk in there.
Not my problem.
No, it's not. And I'm not saying it's your fault and they should be that way, but I get it.
Yeah. Maybe I get it, but yeah. Anyway. So he's doing a teleconference with Strife, who's asking him who the next person he's supposed to kill is. It's Irene Merriweather, which 10 years ago maybe had an affair with Cable, I think, maybe. And he seems to kill her, which is apparently what happened. The next name is Kid Apocalypse, and Deadpool doesn't want to do it. Then we get to where we left off last issue, which Cable. I keep looking at Strife, thinking Cable. Yeah, Deadpool breaks into the prison.
Exactly the same. So
yes, they're clones. Deadpool breaks into the prison where Steve Rogers is, and I really wanted Deadpool to torture and kill him. Instead, Deadpool just monologues for 12 pages and leaves a poisonous snake on his bed and says he's going to come back and torture him whenever he feels like it.
Yeah, if you don't know who Steve Rogers is, he's the evil Captain America from Secret Empire.
Yes. And then leaves some kind of gas in there that, causes everyone to hallucinate. I don't know. I don't care. And finally his monumental move is, breaking his toilet so he doesn't have anywhere to crap. It's not.
It's not what
it was anticlimactic. How about that?
Yeah, it's not what you wanted him to do in that moment.
No, and it's not what we were led to believe he was going to do in that moment. Which, I mean, a lot of times we get teased. I get that. It's it was a letdown, man.
Yeah, but the end of Secret Empire, Deadpool was dead serious about getting revenge on evil Steve Rogers.
Yes. And it's what we assumed was going to happen. And now someone decided, well, we've got to keep him around for a crossover in 5 years, so we can't kill him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds real dumb.
Yes.
What else was real dumb, but also kind of funny, was Miss Marvel number 26. So we're dealing with this storyline where Kamala has kind of, sort of, but not really disappeared, and her friends have taken up the mantle of Miss Marvel in the meantime. And also Red Dagger's here, because some kid from Pakistan just showed up in America, and nobody thought that was weird. Because, yeah, anyway.
Yeah.
They're fighting a giant frog thing, and that doesn't go well. Later they figure out that maybe there's something weird going on at this old folks home, and that old man in the last issue wouldn't just come totally crazy. So fake Miss Marvel busts in to this old folks home, goes to the old vet that she interacted with in the last issue. They sneak into a basement where all these other old people have been captured and hooked up to some kind of machine that's sucking the life force out of them or something. And yeah, there's your big villain and stuff.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. It was okay. It had some funny lines in it, so it redeemed itself a little, but I still don't understand why Kamala's gone.
I don't know. I'm not even going to fathom a guess.
Yeah, I don't know either. I'm sure we'll find out, but I just don't. It was just thrown at us in an issue at one point, and we were never given a reason as to why. So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Next, we have Old Man Hawkeye number 1. Now, let's pause a moment. 15 years ago, 10 years ago, 12 years ago, we had Old Man Logan.
It was 2008.
It was 2008. Thank you. The 7-issue series, which captured Old Man Logan after he had captured the story of Old Man Logan after he had killed the X-Men, and it's approximately 30, 40 years in the future. It was a classic series.
I thought it was further along than that.
It's several decades in the future, as we'll see in this book.
I thought it was like close to like 80 to 100 years.
No.
Okay.
No. We'll discuss that in a moment. So anywho, and it's kind of become an iconic storyline. It led to Old Man Logan, after Secret Wars, being transported to this timeline where he tried to correct that timeline. Turns out he can't. So now you got Old Man Logan here. Eventually we're going to have the young Logan here. And this is the story. So Old Man Hawkeye series is going to tell the story of what happened to Hawkeye, because he's a part of that Old Man Logan story that Mark Millar wrote years ago. And I want to say it was Mark Millar and Steve McNiven. But it also tells what happens to the Avengers. And issue 7 came out this week on the newsstand. And I read about what happened in issue 7. And this is really good. This is a good series. And I'm really looking forward to it. So it opens with Hawkeye leading actually transporting some goods for Justin Hammer across the Badlands when he's captured by the Maddox gang. You know, Jamie Maddox and all his clones, they get fighting, and Clint misses a shot. You know, he gets them all with an arrow except one who gets away. And as anyone knows, you know, he never misses, because this isn't the goofy, incompetent Hawkeye that we've seen in some of the issues that we were discussing last week. This is the Hawkeye. Yeah. So next we cut to Claire Temple, you know, the night nurse, and she's taking care of him. I mean, you can see she's in her 70s. And the reason I'm saying this is 30 or 40 years in the future is, and he's got cataracts, by the way, is Claire and Clint don't have any kind of special aging formula. Okay. They don't have, you know, a healing factor like Wolverine does. They're just
getting old.
Right. And you can tell she's 70 or 80 at this point. So, she tells him, look, dude, your cataracts are getting worse. You're going blind. And the answer is how long? Weeks, maybe months. He goes and sees Logan and wants Logan to help him because he wants revenge on everyone that caused him to do this. Logan says no. He goes to see his daughter because he literally wants to see his daughter with his vision one last time. That doesn't go well. You've got some flashbacks. You've got a couple of panels of flashbacks as to what happened with the Avengers. And yeah, then at the end, they're investigating the bodies that Hawkeye killed, and turns out Bullseye was one of the people doing the investigating.
That's an interesting little twist.
Yeah. Because, you know, the villains are in charge in this era.
You're right, yeah.
I mean, the villains overthrew everyone and took over the country.
Sure.
And, you know, as such, it makes sense that someone like Bullseye would be the protector.
All right, then.
Yeah, it's good, man.
I was going to say, I didn't read it because I was going to wait for your first impressions of it.
Dude, it was very good. And it's going to get better. I had my doubts. I was thinking it just might be another money grab, but it was very good.
Okay, cool. She-Hulk 161. This crazy scientist lady that captured Jennifer Walters has implanted herself with the Hulk formula and is now a Hulk. And her and She-Hulk have to fight it out. And this is what this issue is about. It's not bad, but it's literally just a fight issue. Like that, dude, it's 23 pages and 22 of them are them fighting.
Right. Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah. It was good, but it's just, dude, it is what it is. They throw down the whole issue.
Right. Next we have the Runaways. And I guess if you were a fan of this book years ago, or it's a Hulu series, right?
Yeah, they turned the first volume of Runaways into a Hulu TV show.
Okay, and the book isn't opening for me, and I don't really care. They're staying with this girl's grandmother. She and one of the other girls are, you know, all the cats are psychic, turns out, and can read their minds, so they have to sing songs so she can't understand. Then they go back, the rest of the Runaways go back to save them as they're trying to escape, and the mother's evil and doesn't want them escaping, and there you go.
Yeah.
It's really not a bad story. It was almost enjoyable. If you're into Runaways, it probably would be.
Yeah, I like the Runaways. Okay, I'm not up on the second volume of the story, so I've missed some things. I actually enjoyed this book. I've enjoyed it since the first issue. It's just I'm a little confused about everything that's going on because I'm missing some context. But
yeah, you'd have to go back and read the first series to have all the context for it.
Well, the first and the second. The first I'm familiar with. The second, I'm not so much. I'm just picking up context clues.
Sure.
Also, the kid whose head that they're carrying around, the robot kid.
Yeah, that's Ultron's son. Not Vince.
Yeah. Vin, not Viv.
It's Vision's brother.
No, it's not. It's his nephew or uncle or cousin. Yeah. It was another one of Hank Pym's creations. But he's not directly related to the Vision family.
Okay, sure.
But in that Vision book, he's killed. So I don't know why they've got his head and how he's still alive, but okay.
Apparently a CPU is in his head and they're toting around his CPU.
I guess. Punisher 220, another Matt Rosenberg written comic book. Matt Rosenberg doing a lot of stuff over here at Marvel these days. I have thoroughly enjoyed this series. Giving the Punisher the War Machine armor was a great idea.
Yeah, it was. It really was.
So they're in this semi-fictional country of Chernaya, which is basically Ukraine. And in these government soldiers are taking this kid away from his mother's house for re-education. When Punisher shows up in the War Machine armor and just he grabs them and flies them up into the atmosphere at a really high speed. And the armor's like, yeah, they can't survive traveling at this speed without protection. And he's like, oh, you don't say. And you see the guys just basically melting in the atmosphere.
Yeah, body parts are flying off of him.
Right, yeah. They're flying so fast and up so high that it's literally ripping his skin off.
Yeah.
It's nice to watch. So as thanks for saving him, the kid tells Punisher where they're keeping all the refugees in this refugee camp. Punisher just busts in the front door and takes out all the guards and frees all the captives.
To be fair, he did give them the opportunity to surrender first.
He did, and then he shoots all of them in the head with high caliber rifle rounds.
When they don't,
so their heads explode.
Yeah,
there's just heads exploding all over the place. So one of them says, hey, are you going to free all the camps? And he's like, there's more. And he's looking for Petrov, who's, I forget, I don't even remember why he's looking for this dude. And I don't care. I'm just enjoying watching the Punisher go to all these different, because that's what he does. There's like a montage of him going to all these internment camps, blowing all the dudes to hell and releasing all the prisoners.
Yeah.
Finally he gets into a conflict with someone else in some refashioned War Machine armor, and it's a little more of a fight. But of course, the Punisher being the Punisher, he's willing to do things that the other guys won't, and he literally just puts his thumbs in this dude's eyes and basically squishes his eyeballs. It's nuts. But then a bunch of his friends show up and they're gonna throw down, and it's gonna be a big deal. They get into a fight. Frank gets knocked out of the air, knocked unconscious into the water, and now he's in a huge, heavy piece of armor sinking to the bottom of the ocean. Did they just kill the Punisher? Probably not. We'll find out in the next issue. But yeah, man. Not for children. Don't read this if you're under the age of 19. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was good.
Yes. Next, we have the Unbelievable Gwenpool number 20. What number is this? 24. And
second to last issue.
This is written by Christopher Hastings. It's drawn by Yiraharu. And I'm enjoying this book. I've been enjoying this book for a while now, since it's found its footing. It actually found its footing when Marvel announced it was going to be canceled.
Mm-hmm.
Because the whole Gwenpool thing is, she explains it in this issue. The comic breaks down the fourth wall because she sees everything as a two-dimensional comic book. That's how she sees it. So she's able to do things. That's what her superpower is. And the premise here is, unless she becomes a villain, she's going to get canceled in 2 issues. So she's got 2 issues, this one and the next one, to prevent herself from being canceled by becoming a villain. And she's sitting here discussing the fact. Well, let me start at the beginning because that's the end. So she and Batroc are going to rob this floating casino that's run by the Looter, which is some Spider-Man D-list villain. And they have to use her superpowers. She can't figure out how to open the safe, but she figures out how to capture all the sounds of Batroc blowing up the safe. They thought it was going to be cryptocurrency. Instead, it's gold. So she takes the bags of gold and throws it across panels until they get to where the gold is and then catch it. Actually, it lands on Batroc, but they kind of catch it. So she threw it across 6 panels, and it's pretty funny. And finally, they're back in her apartment, with all the gold that they absconded with, and she's grieving because she realized this whole villain thing isn't working out for her. Even Batroc says, "Look, man, I set you up to rob a villain, so you wouldn't carry on your conscience the weight of killing someone or robbing something good." And she's like, "It's all good," because she's worried about. She doesn't worry about Batroc because he's going to turn up in a Captain America comic, but she's worried about the other the people in her comic, like Cecil and Megatron and the Terrible Eye, that were created in this series. She's wondering where they're going to go when her series is canceled. And then another version of herself appears and says, maybe you don't got to worry about this. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Then in the last letters page, there's a really cute girl doing a cosplay of Gwenpool.
A what?
Cosplay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, is that there's a girl who's gotten kind of prominent doing a Gwenpool cosplay. I wonder if that's her.
Hang on, I'll tell you. I'll see if there's a credit to her.
I don't know that I'd know her name, but she
looks just like her.
Yeah.
It doesn't give her credit in the picture.
Okay. It's probably her. She blew up on social media at one point in time because of how good she looked as Gwenpool.
Dude, she looks just like her.
Yeah, that's just it. Is like she was such a striking resemblance that it was uncanny, and so it blew up on the Marvel social medias at one point.
I don't think so, but this is some girl named Ash who wrote in a letter and apparently did the cosplay thing.
Okay, well, maybe not.
And did it very well, man. I mean, she looks just like her.
Unbeatable Squirrel Girl number 28. Squirrel Girl teams up with Loki Sorcerer Supreme to take on the Dread Dormammu. That's the whole issue. It is the silliness and the funny one-liners and goofy premises that you expect from Squirrel Girl, plus all the little blurbs at the bottom of the pages. But that's the premise of the issue: is they fight Dormammu, and Loki turns himself into a squirrel at some point. Not a squirrel, just a guy with a squirrel's head. Yeah, it was pretty. It was good.
Cool.
Do you want to tell us about Darth Vader?
Oh, I'm doing. I was sitting here waiting on you to do Darth Vader number 10.
That's your name next to it.
It does have my name next to it, even though I didn't read it. Did you read it?
I hadn't read it in a couple weeks.
Dude, I haven't read it, period.
Okay, we'll just drop Darth Vader because that's not important.
Not at all.
Dude, I hadn't read this book in 5 months. I don't know.
That's how I was with the Avengers books. I would apologize, but you're in such a mood it doesn't matter. So
I'm in a perfectly fine mood. I don't know why you didn't read the book.
Because I'm not as smart as you are. How about that? You keep typing things and, insisting you're in a good mood, but
okay. So what was your favorite book this week?
Old Man Logan. Was it Ed Brinson who's writing this? Mike Diodato is killing it on the art. This is really good, man. And this really, it's one of those books where when it began with issue 1, I did not have high expectations of it. I just thought it was another Wolverine money grab. And Ed Brinson and Mike Diodato are doing great work on this book, and I'm really enjoying it.
Good. There was a handful of good ones this week, but
yes.
I think I'm gonna have to go with Daredevil 597.
That was good also. So was the Phoenix book.
Yeah, it was a runner between Daredevil, Phoenix, and maybe Punisher.
Yeah.
So
that Punisher book was good too.
Yeah, for a while now, they have just done the Punisher right. They don't get into these convoluted stories. It's just him killing bad guys in graphic, horrible, horrendous ways.
Yeah.
So, yeah. In the dump this week, you have Kazar, which isn't that the dude from the Savage Land?
Yes.
Okay. Yes. Yeah, a bunch of old Kazar stuff, some Man-Thing from the late 70s, maybe early 80s. Not half bad. Daredevil from 1964. And even more Masters of Kung Fu.
I was happy to see this Daredevil here because there's a lot of the early Daredevil stuff from the late 60s, early 70s that isn't in Marvel Unlimited. And it just should be. And it just be there, man. It's a crime that it's not. I can understand why you don't get around to some of the Marvel team up stuff. You don't get around to stuff like Black Lash, which they got out last week. But dude, Daredevil's Daredevil, man. I mean, his whole run should be there.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree.
And this is also about the point where it became Daredevil and Black Widow, and they were sleeping together and teaming together in the book.
Oh yeah, I forgot they had a thing.
Yeah,
for a while.
Who has she not had a thing with?
That's a good point. Yeah. Who is she not? Yeah. Anyway, well, we've taken up enough of your time today. If you have any questions or want to get in touch with us, please email us at 6monthsbehind@gmail.com. That's the number 6monthsbehind@gmail.com.
You can visit the website at www.6monthsbehind.com.
And as has become tradition, Pat, do you have any wisdom to bestow upon us before we go?
Be careful who you pretend to be. You might forget who you really are. That happens to wrestlers a lot. They start living the gimmick.
I'd never considered that from that standpoint.
Dude, guys like Ric Flair, Ted DiBiase, they live the gimmick, man. Then it ruins their lives.
What if you ever see that with guys like Kane or Mankind?
I'm trying to think of people who've really gotten wrapped
Undertaker.
Up in the gimmick.
Or Rey Mysterio.
Mark Callow is really a nice guy, the Undertaker.
Mm-hmm.
Rey Mysterio's a nice guy, but there are a lot of people, and they call it, and it happens to a lot of the guys who get wrapped up in steroids. Yeah, they just start living the gimmick and thinking that the persona that they've created for themselves in the ring, the persona that's cutting the promos, is the real person. Supposedly, I don't know how often you watch it. Seth Rollins supposedly has a pretty big ego these days. and just expects special treatments at restaurants, hotels because he's Seth friggin' Rollins.
I've never understood people like that.
Yeah.
Great. You're important to somebody. I don't care. You're still a person.
Yeah. And that's a limited gimmick, man. It's, you know, where you forget where reality actually is. And dude, it doesn't just happen to them. It happens to NFL players and NBA players. And, you know, they commit acts of stupidity and think they're going to get away with it because they're good at football or basketball or whatever.
Yeah. Again, that's just behavior I don't understand, is why people think they're special because they do something.
Because they're treated that way their entire life.
I guess.
Yeah, there was a kid Kevin went to school with that, you know, dude, from the 7th grade on, he was treated special because he could play football. Got a Hewitt for raping a girl. Went to Clay, got in trouble with a girl there. Got to Clemson. Eventually flamed out at Clemson because he'd been treated special his whole life and felt entitled to everything.
Ego, man. It's a heck of a drug.
Yeah, it is.
All right. Well, on that note, we'll see you guys next week.
Peace.
All right. We're doing what's next, or...
Oh, crap, man. You want to do what's next, or you want to work on the microphone? Because we buffered bad at the beginning, man. I think you noticed because I could tell how you were hesitating. You weren't hearing what I said.
No, I heard what you said. It's on my end, it seemed like you were responding slow.
It's because you were buffering.
Oh, well.
I hope it sounds all right, because it was, dude, for the first 30 minutes, it was bad, man.
Whatever.
It's not whatever, man. I mean, you know, we can try and fix it, or we can record, you know, what's next, or
I don't know. What do you want to
do? I'd like to work on the microphone so we can hear each other, but you may not have the patience to do that right now.
Well, I don't have... That needs to be something I do and sit down with the software and figure it all out. And I've gone through about 4 different suites of software just to try to figure out how to make sound come out of it. And I can't do it. So,
well, okay. I'm sorry. I thought you were needing me I thought you wanted to test something.
I will be able to, as soon as, you know, I get some software that isn't the most complicated thing in the world to use.
Okay. Then you're tired and my head's splitting open and my shoulder hurts. Why don't we come back for about 30 minutes tomorrow night, or 30 minutes Wednesday night, due to what's next then?
Okay. Works for me.
Is that cool?
Yeah.
All right, brother. Talk to you soon, man. All righty. Bye.